Look at what we have here. What? Direct engineering? What could this possibly be? Nice. Alright, so for those of you who don't know, this, I hope we can zoom in, we can focus. These are some Direct Engineering camber plates for the front end of my GT4. These are gonna help me dial in the camber that I need to hit the track. I'm pushing for -3.2, and I'll talk more about that in the rest of this video. And these are absolutely essential to get to that level. There are other ways you can get to that -3.2 or -3+ figure, but this is probably the best way to do it. The Manti kit that they are now selling for the GT4s, for the 981 and the 718 gens, do include camber plates along with shims and rear toe links as part of the package. So this is probably the best way to get those desired camber results, which will help me dial in that tire wear, that nice and even tire wear. We got the pups, we got the big boy, and the young boy, the young lad, who's about to turn 2 years old. And as soon as my car is dialed in, I'll be taking them to the track with me. All right, stay tuned.
3,000 years later.
Morning, morning. Been a while, boys and girls. You'll find me in the middle of nowhere, just trying to get some sparkling water, some bougie sparkling water, because that's the kind of shit I do. On a serious note, it's a beautiful winter morning. Well, winter's about to go in sunny Dubai, and I decided to hop on for an impromptu morning drive in my GT4. And that reminded me, why don't I just do a quick check-in video? So camber plates was not one of the things that I covered in the top 5 essential mods. Let me just turn this down a little bit. In the top 5 essential mods for the GT4 platform. But I ended up installing them anyway. Why? Because I've already done my top 5 and I need to do more, because I just can't leave this car the fuck alone. Camber plates are something that's been on my mind, because there's a limit to how much negative camber you can get by just piling on shims after shims, right? There's also concerns that arise with doing too much of that. Plus, the revised Manti Racing I guess handling pack for the GT4 contains a combination of shims and camber plates. So that tells me that those guys have probably determined that the best way to get a good amount of negative camber on this car without affecting safety is to install camber plates. So I've done that. The camber plates themselves are very high quality. They're a nice shiny red, so that's nice. And they look good installed in the front of the car. There is a plastic cover on top of them, so you can't really see them. But if you take off that plastic cover, there's a nice shiny red poking out from under there. What have the camber plates done for me? Well, the camber plates have not done much apart from just giving me appropriate camber. So I was already running a fairly aggressive negative camber. I spoke about that in my last video. I'm kind of at around the same amount, which is about -2.8-ish. To be very honest with you, I'm not too happy with how the car is set up right now. Initial turn-in feels a bit sloppy, and that might be due to a number of things, but what I do plan on doing very soon is to get a proper realignment done from another place that comes highly recommended. So I'll do that, I'll circle back, and I'll let you guys know. The other thing that could be causing problems right now is that a wheel bearing that was on its way out. That's a bit odd, because the car has less than 52,000 kilometers. So wheel bearings should not give out right now, but then again, I have been driving this car on the track a few times, and you know, kind of like this. that may have caused it. Who knows? Who the fuck knows with these things, right? So I'm going to be changing the wheel bearing. It's not making any noise at all right now, but that could be what's causing my feeling of this sloppy initial turn-in. The other thing that they noticed was my front drop link is a bit wobbly and probably needs replacement as well. So what I did was I ended up getting some upgraded parts. Looky what we have here. Holy shit. This is exciting. And I'm hoping that that's going to address this sloppiness that I'm feeling. The other thing that may have caused this feeling is I've been reading online that the more aggressive you get with your camber, the more the stock springs sort of get called into question. The stock spring rates on this car and the new 718 GT4 are quite soft for a GT product. They're much softer than the GT4 RS and quite a bit softer than the GT3 as well. Now I know some of you guys may say, well, that's great. This is not a race car. This is a car that you should be able to drive on the road, to the track, do a few laps, come back. And while I agree with that, and while this car is perfectly usable on the road, you know, on these very, very nice roads that we have in the UAE, I am experiencing some body roll, if I'm very frank with you guys. Especially on the track, at the limit, there's a sloppy initial turn-in and then a rolling sensation. And I do have carbon buckets, so I feel that has something to do with the springs. There is a fairly, standard bolt-on upgrade that you can do here. Again, Tart Engineering sells a spring kit, a firmer spring kit, that brings the spring rates somewhere in between a stock GT4 and a GT4 RS, somewhere almost exactly in the middle. And the springs are made by Swift. I might give that a shot. If my current fix does not address this issue, I think the next in the build series will be those upgraded springs, which actually brings me to my final thought of the day, which is that I am seriously contemplating selling this car. In which case, there's not going to be any more build series on this specific car, but there will be more videos on what I pick up next. Why am I selling it? Nothing to do with the car. It's absolutely fantastic. In fact, I have a feeling that the moment I put the ad on, I might get cold feet and not sell it. But there was an addition to the family recently, and me and my wife, we welcomed our firstborn. And obviously he's just a baby right now, but as he grows up, I want to be able to take him for rides. I want to be able to have him have fond memories about growing up and riding in his dad's car and enjoying it, and maybe I'll create a petrol head for the future. Who knows? But obviously with a two-seat car like my trusty GT4, you can't put a baby seat inside, kids have to be, 8 years old, 10 years old to be able to actually ride in the front with you. So that's a long time that I have to wait for this guy to actually come on these long drives with me, and I'm not sure I want that. So I already have my daily driver. I've made videos of my Nissan Safari Y61 on this channel as well. And that car isn't going anywhere because that's the one practical car I have. So unfortunately, that means the GT4 may have to go. And if that happens, I'll have a tough decision to make in figuring out what car can I replace this with. There's many options floating around in my head. Kind of the top 5 that I've come up with are as follows. I've always wanted an E92 M3. I know they're getting a bit older now and it's harder and harder to pick up a clean example, but if I can find a late model year E92 M3 with or without competition pack, DCT or manual, that would be very tempting. Obviously, I'd have to look out for a car that's had its rod bearings done or account for that cost. But that is very much at the top of the list. I love the S65 engine. I think it's fantastic. I've driven the E92 before, and I enjoyed it a lot more than my F80 M3, that's for sure. The Shelby GT350 is another option. Oh boy, do I love that car. I absolutely adore the GT350, but that Voodoo engine scares the shit out of me. I've read so many stories now about people blowing their engines. And look, I know that 3 or 4 bad examples with people that are very vocal and have made videos about it is a small percentage in a much, much bigger pool. But the fact that there's so many of these stories out there tells me at the very least that there's a significant risk or a concern that I need to think about. So the GT350 would be an absolutely amazing kind of replacement for this car, given what my specific needs are. I think the GT4 is a much better car overall, but those rear seats really important to me right now. The C6 generation Z06, I know it doesn't have rear seats, but I don't know. I've put it in there because I've always wanted to check out the LS7. I've always been intrigued by that engine, so who knows? Hard to pick up a clean example of those nowadays as well, so we'll just have to wait and see. A 997 Carrera or Carrera S is on the list as well. Go figure. Pretty much a perfect replacement for what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to keep costs down, so hence not a 991 or a 992. A 997 would be perfect. And last but not least, in a complete 180 wildcard decision, a Challenger Hellcat is on that list too. Why? Because why the fuck not, right? 2-door, badass, last of its kind, if I'm honest with you. It's fucking 700 horsepower stock, so you can make it 850 no problem. But I'm very intrigued by that, because I'm very intrigued with the idea of getting a Hellcat Challenger and then doing a track-focused build on it. There's not a lot of people, if any, that are actually doing that and making content about it, so that might be a very interesting thing to do for me personally and for the channel. So if you guys think that's something that you want to see, drop a comment below, and that might just be the direction I head into. So with that in mind, I mean, that's just a bit about where my head's at right now. I apologize, I haven't been making a lot of videos lately, as you can imagine, with the changes to my family circumstances. That has been a very difficult thing to do. But I'm happy I could just circle back and check in with the GT4. It's still here, it's still going strong. I still have plans for it. And who knows, maybe I end up keeping it. Thank you very much once again for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. If there's any questions at all that you guys have about this platform, or anything that I could share with you on the years of research that I've done on the mods that I've done and everything else in between, comment, ping me, and I will be happy to answer any of those questions. See you on the next one. Peace.